LND ch2 707. Lawyers from both sides left the chairman's office one after another and went to the door to look at each other feeling a mess. Emma, the secretary waiting outside, couldn't help asking Lawyer Yang, "Have you signed everything?" Lawyer Yang shook his head. "Why?" "Mr. Zheng doesn't want to get a divorce." Emma stayed in place for a while. The whole company was disturbed by the gentleman. Now he doesn't want to get a divorce. What is he planning? Inside, Yu Xinyan sat behind a desk and looked at Zheng Shu sitting in a chair. Under his frowning brows, he looked puzzled. "What are you doing again?" Zheng Shu blinked and looked at Yu Xinyan. His heart said that regardless of the plot, the appearance of this man was simply based on his aesthetic, especially the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose, which reflected his sharp eyes. When he looked straight at him, in addition to full pressure, he was tempted, and it poked at Zheng Shu's sexuality. If you can face this face for a lifetime, even if the probability is that the personality is cold, Zheng Shu is also willing. With this god, he is somewhat looking forward to the next life. But the most important thing now is quickly calming down this divorce storm. So he smiled and said sincerely, "If I say I suddenly had an epiphany just now and found myself too young, frivolous to be sensible, and actually took marriage as a joke. Now I regret it and want to start over and live a good life with you. Would you believe it?" This made him feel guilty, but fortunately, Zheng Shu was thick-skinned enough. In the end, he could look directly at Yu Xinyan and seemed to be waiting for the response. Yu Xinyan didn't respond, but Zheng Shu's mobile phone suddenly shook. He lowered his eyes and saw WeChat jump out. "Honey, I got off the plane." "Honey. It's so disgusting. Who is it?" Zheng Shu subconsciously unlocked the fingerprint and opened it conveniently. "Note, Baby Lin." There are also a series of red envelopes and a row of roses sent by the original owner on the chat interface, which are big and eye-catching, and it is difficult for people to look at them. He looked up silently, just in time to meet the cold eyes of Yu Xinyan, who was condescending and slightly raised his chin. "Do you think he should believe it?" Zheng Shu's mouth twitched and said wryly, "This is what I said about being young and frivolous. I'm sorry. I'll delete it right away." However, before deleting it, he conveniently pulled the chat record forward. "Dear darling, baby, sweetheart, you are too hard. Go to bed early, buy you XXX, and transfer money to you. Don't be reluctant to spend it. Your husband is distressed." These messages make his whole body have goosebumps and dance Latin dance hand in hand. Zheng Shu can't bear to look straight. While deleting Baby Lin's WeChat, Zheng Shu vowed, "Don't worry, I will never have any contact with him again." He quit the WeChat interface, ready to blacklist his contact information, but as soon as he saw his wallpaper, he saw a girly boy. Combined with the messages with Baby Lin, Zheng Shu suddenly had the impulse to drop his mobile phone. He can't see the information clearly, but this photo is too big. Yu Xinyan glanced at it from a distance and knew what was happening, and his mouth showed a sneer. Misunderstanding, pure misunderstanding. Zheng Shu shed tears in his heart, and he was so wrong. Yu Xinyan was not interested in his explanation. He raised his hand and looked at his watch. He said coldly, "The Civil Affairs Bureau still has an hour after work. Let's go." Hearing this, Zheng Shu was in a hurry. Let's discuss this matter again. The divorce agreement is gone, and the Civil Affairs Bureau is not good over there." However, Yu Xinyan directly picked up the phone. "Emma, print another divorce." What a shame. Before he finished speaking, he was quickly pressed down by Zheng Shu. He lamented, "I know I was wrong, and I don't want a divorce. Can you give me another chance to turn over a new leaf? Go home and let me kneel on the keyboard, the durian, and the washboard. You can choose at will, or you can beat and scold me. I am obedient, okay?" He didn't care that the man's body was suddenly colder than 10 degrees. He put his hand directly on the arm Yu Xinyan put on the table and begged, "I don't like him. I just want to see if you care about me. You have been lukewarm to me, and I have no idea why I made such a fuss. I didn't expect you to divorce me. I simply regret it. What nonsense is this?" Zheng Shu is almost crying himself. That's probably how scumbags save themselves, right? Last night's novel really can't be read casually. It's too poisoned. Sure enough, He saw Yu Xinyan pull back his arm mercilessly and ask, so it's still my fault? No, of course not. Zhang Shu immediately stressed, standing firm. I'm in the wrong, elder brother. You are mature. I shouldn't have done this to test you. I should be more honest. I regret very much now that I shouldn't have done this. But my apology to you is true, so can you accept my apology and give me another chance? I promise to be a model companion in the future. Zhang Shu doesn't understand. He is a good young man, who is a good Samaritan. He is dead, so it's good to be reborn directly. Why should he face this kind of wife-chasing crematorium? The prodigal son is no longer popular these days. But Yu Xinyan is quite hard-hearted. No. It's over. The original owner is out of play, and even if he saves the day, he can't save a broken heart. Zhang Shu was stiff and thought quickly about what to do. Yu Xinyan's eyes became sharper. He looked at Zhang Shu and said word for word, I don't care why you changed your mind, but in the past 4 years, our relationship has been so bad that it is difficult to maintain. I am a few years older than you and responsible for this improper guidance. I felt sorry for my uncle and aunt, and I am sorry for you. Therefore, after careful consideration, I am in favor of dissolving the marriage. He didn't expect Yu Xinyan to say this, and Zhang Shu froze. Yu Xinyan leaned back as if he had unloaded a heavy burden, and his tone was slightly relaxed. Although you still can't take over the company, Wan Shuang has developed a perfect mechanism. As long as you follow the process, you can still develop steadily. In addition to express my apologies, I can transfer the 3% shares donated by my uncle to you free of charge. He is determined to go. Zhang Shu immediately shook his head. I don't want shares. I don't want them if you give them back to me. Thinking that he has to take care of this huge family business next, he must work hard and diligently, sleep later than the dog, get up earlier than the chicken, work hard every day, and maybe even make a mess. If the plot pits him again. Zhang Shu thinks of the book's ending, and he becomes agitated. He turned his face away and said, No, you can't leave. You promised my dad to take care of me, my family property, and make my life worry-free. You can't just leave me alone. Yu Xinyan lowered his voice and said, Zhang Shu. Zhang Shu lifted his head again. He didn't know when his eyes became red. He looked like he would cry any moment. Looking pitiful, he moved his lips, I miss my dad. When Zhang Shu's father was mentioned, Yu Xinyan suddenly stopped and became silent. Zhang Shu has already discovered that the handsome guy looks cold, impeccable, but his heart is quite soft. He sniffed and said sullenly, even if the past is bad, we can get along in the future. Besides, I think you have feelings for me. Otherwise, why did you stay single after that? Yu Xinyan sniffed and felt a little ridiculous about this. Don't believe me. I have proof. Yu Xinyan raised his eyebrows. Zhang Shu opened the mobile phone photo album, ready to take a sweet photo from it and throw it in his face. Even in the face of the media, there is a photo that can fool outsiders, and this is the evidence. Can Yu Xinyan say that this is an act? However, before Yu Xinyan was hit in the face, his face was hit swollen first. How come there is none? Zhang Shu frantically scrolled down, and thousands of photos were all of that baby Lin. It was a collection of all kinds of plain coffee, seaside holiday yachts, nightclubs and bars, and a bunch of men and women gathered together in colorful colors, so he couldn't bear to look straight at them. But he couldn't find a photo of him in the same frame as Yu Xinyan. Really not one. What kind of broken marriage is this? It doesn't even maintain a superficial false happiness. It's so outrageous. As long as you share your feelings with your original partner Zhang Shu, the original owner will not be in such an embarrassing situation now. His face cracked, so he turned off his cell phone and wanted to put it back on and die as soon as possible. But in the end, he took a deep breath and told himself to calm down repeatedly. His eyes swept through Yu Xinyan's cold expression and landed in the corner of the table. Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of a touch of red, and his eyes shone. He took 2 steps at a time, grabbed the marriage certificate, opened it directly in front of Yu Xinyan and said, Look, see, how sweet our wedding photos are. At first glance, we are married for love, aren't we? Damn it. He stomped on his face so hard that he couldn't be fooled. Yu Xinyan. He looked at the fake smile that seemed to be threatened and fell completely silent. To what extent does it have to go against one's will to say such a thing? But he could feel Zhang She's determination not to divorce. Whether it's divorce or marriage, it's not a matter of one person. Both parties must agree. Unless it's a complete break, and they see each other in court, he can't make such a decision when he thinks about his promise to Uncle Zhang. Yu Xinyan suddenly felt a little ridiculous. He looked at Zhang Shu, who was secretly staring at him, and his heart was tired. Go out. So. No divorce. Zhang Shu asked carefully, and he put the marriage certificate on his chest as if holding an amulet that could resist the divorce attack of the other party. Yu Xinyan ignored him. It was Zhang Shu who was clamoring for divorce from beginning to end. Now reversed, there is no other explanation except it is ridiculous. Zhang Shu saw Yu Xinyan's face with a hint of coolness and ridicule, and his heart was suddenly at a loss, so he leaned forward with a marriage certificate and tentatively asked, "Otherwise, look at my sincerity." Yu Xinyan's heart scoffed. What sincerity can this boy have? He is full of nonsense and thinks of doing stupid things all day. Seeing that he didn't refuse, Zhang Shu was a little happy. He took a blank piece of paper directly from the printer on the side, picked up a pen, scratched his head, and started writing. Yu Xinyan looked at his writing and glanced at it. Soon, a handwritten agreement appeared in front of Yu Xinyan which read, "Marriage Guarantee." Yu Xinyan frowned. What is it? Zhang Shuking cleared his throat and said, "I swear that from now on, I will be a model husband, I mean a model partner. Always put our small family first and resolutely resist the temptation of anyone. The specific terms are below. Do you think this is sincere enough?" Yu Xinyan. He looked down with discomfort, feeling goosebumps, ignoring the handwriting aside. This content is a bit hard for him, and for Zhang Shu himself. He looked strangely at the very happy young man with yellow hair dyed in front of him. He deeply suspected that this man had taken the wrong medicine. Look at it, okay. Zhang Shu stared at him with bright eyes and urged, "Look, big president, although humble, I am full of sincerity." Yu Xinyan reluctantly lowered his head again, raised his eyebrows and asked, "You will report if you want to spend more than 500. Yu Xinyan raised at the corner of his mouth. Can you consume less than 50,000? Why not? It's just not much. Oh, that's not the point. I wrote this just to show my determination," Zhang Shu said seriously. Yu Xinyan's eyebrows are raised, and the next one. "You would report in advance if you are going anywhere except at home." Yu Xinyan asked suspiciously, "Can you do it?" "Yes, it's not difficult, just a text message, a phone call. But I don't want to know." The gentlemen of the Zhang family played much more and went to places where Yu Xinyan would never set foot. "Don't worry. I won't go to that messy place again. Even if I do, the theme will be positive. I won't do anything bad for our husband and wife's feelings, okay?" Yu Xinyan was surprised, and his eyes couldn't help but glance out the window to see if the rain would be red today. Otherwise, he could hardly believe it came from Zhang She's mouth. What this young master hates most is when he gets involved. He pulls his cronies to lie to him or confronts him directly and arrogantly. Unless he gets into trouble and needs to deal with the aftermath, will he only call him. However, if the latter has this consciousness, it will also save him a lot of trouble. Don't go out after 10 p.m. Yu Xinyan expressed deep doubt and asked again, "Can you do it?" This is an out-and-out night owl. He stays up at night, stays up all night, sleeps in bed during the day, and sometimes comes home at dawn, which vividly explains how he lives his life. Yu Xinyan sometimes wondered how the wise Uncle Zhang raised such a son. Zhang Shu said firmly, "Since I can write it, I can certainly do it. I will report it to you even if I have something to do. You will wait and see my performance." When Yu Xinyan heard this, he gave him a deep look and put this guarantee aside. Marriage guarantee by the wife. I'm so hooked on this book.